Hey, welcome to the Box Pool team. My name's Prakash, and I'm here to give you a super quick crash course. Seriously, in just the next few minutes, you're gonna have all the core knowledge you need to sound like an absolute pro on your very first call. Ready? Let's jump right in.
Okay, so here's the game plan. First, we'll talk about why not all cardboard is the same. Then, we'll kind of slice open a box and see what makes it tick. We'll get into flutes and what gives a box its strength, and this is a big one, how to measure a box properly. Finally, we'll look at the common box styles you'll actually be selling. Simple enough, right?
All right, Section 1. Not all cardboard is equal. This is probably the most fundamental thing you need to get right. You know, the key to this job, really, is figuring out the difference between what a customer thinks they want and what they actually need. And it all boils down to one little mix-up.
So picture this. A client calls you up. They say, hey, I just need a standard cardboard box. Easy, right? But what do they really mean when they say cardboard? And more importantly, is what they're picturing in their head what we actually make here at Boxpool? Let's find out.
And here's the answer. This is the big reveal, the most important thing to get straight. On the left, you've got regular cardboard, or what we call paperboard. Think about a cereal box, a shoe box. It's just a single, flat sheet, not very strong. Now on the right, that's our stuff. That's corrugated. It's not just paper, it's an engineered material with multiple layers, designed specifically for strength and shipping. So, here's the secret. 99% of the time a client says cardboard, what they really want is corrugated. That's our world.
Okay, so we've established we're in the corrugated business. Let's move on to the anatomy of a box. We're going to look under the hood, so to speak, and see what gives these boxes their muscle. Once you get these simple parts, you'll be able to guide any client to the exact right solution.
First up, you've got the liner. It's super simple. This is just the flat paper that makes up the outside and the inside surfaces of the board. I like to think of it as the bread in a sandwich.
And if the liner is the bread, then this is the good stuff in the middle, the flute. You might also hear it called the medium. It's that wavy, zigzag layer of paper that gets sandwiched right between the liners. And honestly, this is where the magic happens. Those little arches are pure genius. They create these tiny air pockets that provide all the cushioning and all the strength.
So let's build our corrugated sandwich. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. You start with the bottom piece of bread, that's your bottom liner. Then you add the filling, that's the wavy flute for all that cushioning. And you finish it off with the top slice of bread, the top liner. Boom, that's it. That simple little structure is called a single wall board, and it's the foundation for most of the boxes we sell.
So, if one sandwich is good, a double-decker is even better, right? It's the same idea here. More layers mean more strength. So when you're on a call and a client specifically asks for one of our biggest sellers, the double-wall 5-ply carton box, this is exactly what they're talking about. It's 2 layers of that wavy flute sandwiched between 3 liners. Count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers. That's why we call it 5-ply. And that's what gives it incredible strength for stacking heavy stuff.
Okay, moving on. Section 3, understanding flutes and strength. So we know the flute is the hero here. It's where the strength comes from. But, and this is a big but, not all waves are created equal. The size of that wave completely changes how a box behaves. Knowing the difference here, this is what separates the rookies from the pros.
Let's take a look at the main flute types. Think of A flute as the big, puffy one. At about 5 millimeters thick, it gives you awesome cushioning, perfect for really fragile things. Then you have C flute. This is the industry standard, the jack of all trades. It's the one you'll see most often. B flute is a little thinner, a bit more compact. This makes it more crush resistant and gives it a nice smooth surface, which is great for printing logos on. And then you get into the really thin ones, like E and F flute. These are more for retail boxes, like a fancy box for a new phone or even fast food containers. Different jobs, different flutes.
All right, let's talk about how to measure a box. Now, I need you to really listen up for this part, because this is where a tiny mistake can cause a huge headache for both us and the client. This is the one rule you absolutely, positively must remember. It's non-negotiable.
Here it is. Length times width times height. Always. I'll say it again. Length, then width, then height. Every single time. And super important, we're always talking about the inside dimensions of the box, not the outside. This isn't just some random box pool thing. It's the global standard for the entire industry. Getting this right prevents so many problems down the line.
So you might be thinking, okay, but why does the order matter so much? Well, here's why. The sequence, length by width, determines the opening of the box, which is pretty obvious. But the real reason, The engineering reason is that it makes sure those wavy flutes run vertically, from top to bottom. Think of them like tiny pillars holding up a roof. That orientation gives the box its maximum stacking strength. If you turn it on its side, those pillars are lying down, and the whole thing can get crushed way more easily.
Okay, we're in the home stretch. Last section, common box styles you'll sell. You've learned about the material, you know what's inside the walls, and you know how to measure it. Now, let's put it all together and look at the actual products you'll be talking about with clients at Boxpool.
Meet the RSC. That stands for regular slotted container. Honestly, this is the box. When anyone anywhere pictures a cardboard box, this is what they're seeing in their mind. It's the classic moving box. It's super efficient to make, produces very little waste, and that's why it is hands down the most common box style in the entire world. Trust me, you are going to be talking about RSCs all day, every day.
So, how does this translate to our actual catalog? Well, when you see packaging corrugated box on our site, that's usually just a standard RSC. When a customer says they need something really tough, you'll know to talk about our double-wall 5-ply carton box, because now you know what 5-ply means. And when you see something like the corrugated mango box, you'll know it's not a standard RSC, it's a specialty box, probably a die-cut design. See? You already know how to decode our main products.
Look, the whole point of all this isn't just so you can memorize a bunch of terms. This is your toolkit. This is what you'll use to actually help people solve their problems. With this knowledge, you're not just a telecaller anymore. You're a packaging consultant. You're the expert.
And that's a wrap. You've got the basics down. You're ready. So as you gear up to make that very first call, just keep this one question in your mind. What's the one thing my client needs most? Is it cushioning? Is it raw strength? Or is it a pretty box for retail? Is it A flute? Is it 5-ply? Is it B flute? The cool part is you now know how to figure that out. We're so glad to have you on the team. Welcome aboard.